How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Ready to upgrade your entertainment experience? Vizio TVs make streaming easy with convenient access to all your favorite apps. Enjoy top hits from the iHeartRadio app or watch over 300 free live channels of news, sports, and more on Watch Free Plus. And now, take free TV and movies on the go with Watch Free Plus in the Vizio mobile app. Available anytime, anywhere, for everyone. Download the Vizio mobile app now or visit Vizio.com/iHeartRadio to learn more.
Roku has what you need to make your college home away from home feel more like your own. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TV. Or bring a Roku streaming stick to easily access all your favorite free and premium content like iHeartRadio. Stream your favorite playlist with the Roku Vibe Setting Smart Light strips to sync your music to millions of colors and make your dorm feel more like you. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TVs, streaming players, and smart lights. Head to Roku.com or your favorite retailer to deck out your dorm.
Football Feast. Thank you, Minneapolis.
Oh, well.
Thank you, Timberwolves. Wolves head into the break coming off a sizable upset of the best team in the league. Or at least the best team in the West. I did not get to see the game, Eric. I saw
rooting them on in spirit is what you were.
I was seeing Cy Amundsen perform at Acme Comedy Club. He's there through the weekend, by the way. Recommend that you go. Show was great. So I didn't get to see it, but I didn't roll into it thinking I was going to miss much after what had happened the night before. I was like, well, I can see how this is probably going to turn out. So what did I miss in this Wolves game that it sounds like they handled OKC?
They did, yes. You missed Nas having a career night.
Oh,
is what you missed.
He's on my fantasy basketball team.
Well, you missed a 27 and 14 bomb from him with the 7 dimes on the side. I think he had a swat. That. He had a swat for the cherry on top. Anthony Edwards, over his last few games, just continues to fire the ball into the moon. I mean, that's just, it's the shooting. I don't know if it's the hip thing, so you hope that that's better off the break. But yeah, absolutely. After you watch them lose the other night to Milwaukee in a game without Giannis, without Dame, you're thinking they have to win this one on their home court, and they don't. That's the curious case of the 24/25 Minnesota Timberwolves. Charch is just they lose a game like they did to the Bucks, and then they come back without Rudy. I have to be honest. Conley, for me, I know, just like anybody else, he's listed on the injury report. Mm-hmm. He is still out. Still no Randall. Still no DiVincenzo. But they didn't miss Conley last night. This Jalen Clark situation, not a great shooting night for him, but defensively, such a badass. And they gave SGA fits. So in a night where you were a little light up top, I mean, Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren for the Thunder were getting all the boards. There's no doubt about that. But ultimately, in the end, it was an awesome performance by the Howls. So a positive in a way, and I think even Chris Finch echoed that after the game. It's like, we needed this. Mm-hmm. Like you can feel a little bit in PA when he has Finch on a weekly basis. I think Finch handles it well, but I personally, as I sit back and I listen to the conversations, there's a bit of exasperation where I'm trying to bring Anthony along. I'm trying to make these other pieces work. It felt like earlier in the season, I think, maybe at some point he would admit that he was probably too hesitant to deploy Dillingham and get him some minutes. He was too hesitant to get Jalen Clark in the mix. Terrence Shannon Jr. has spent a ton of time down in Iowa. He came into the mix last night. He was important. He contributed. So, but they're just kind of an like, can we just figure this freaking thing out? Can we find the wins that we're supposed to get? We don't get it against the Bucks. We get it against the Thunder. So it's a nice way to enter the break. But they're going to come out of the break in a play-in spot in the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, they are truly, it's a 2-3 game stretch really between them and being in, like a 5th seed. And they're going to struggle down the stretch just to grind their way up there. Hopefully they can. But the idea of maybe getting Julius back after the break, some decision making. This is probably the 3rd year in a row, Charch, where, and Naz has gotten paid as part of this. But how many different times have we talked about, like, when Kat was out or Rudy's been out in other spots, it's like, whoa. Like this Naz thing, it's kind of a revelation, right? And then, but then ultimately he always kind of returns to the, exit stage left, whether it was Rudy and Kat, and now since bringing Julius into the mix. But in these spots, when he has to perform, when he has to be that guy, he keeps showing up. And so how does Coach Finch start to deploy those guys and maybe make some decisions after the break? Is there a stark change that has to take place? I don't know. There's a lot of All-Star break related Wolves bits that I'm sure we'll dive into the mix 9 to noon next week. But on a night when you're thinking just limp into the break, we get it. No Conley, no Rudy. How are we going to stop those big guys? Naz had a night. No, it was absolutely awesome. They actually throttled the Thunder. So and they were both on a back-to-back. So the best of a schedule loss, so to speak. I'm sure if you're a Thunder fan, you could look at it in that vein. But in the end, the Wolves dominated last night. Charch.
Terrence Shannon plus 23 to lead both teams.
Yeah. And he was, I mean, the thing for me that excited me about him is he's older. So I was pondering the idea of him being more NBA ready, at least in the near term. Maybe Dillingham has a higher ceiling. That was kind of the post-draft conversation around it. But he spent all this time in Iowa. And he was talking about it last night. I saw some quotes via X, just kind of they told me to go, dominate in G League. So that's what I did. Yeah. I just did what they told me, and now I'm here. So yeah, Terrence Shannon is a nice addition to this when he's healthy and active and actually being used by the coach. I like that, getting an opportunity and taking advantage of it.
Now, had you ever actually listened to me on this show on Fridays?
I don't listen.
You would know that I was supposed to have already traded away Naz Reid for Devin Booker 2 weeks ago. Mentioned that on the show. I asked for your approval. Like, would you have made this trade?
Well, I'd have to know the rest of your roster, and then that becomes a fantasy show, Charch.
So here's what happened. I get offered Devin Booker for Naz Reid.
Okay.
I accept the trade. Commissioner, whose name I will not use, but you know who this person is, rejects the trade.
Booker for Naz.
Yep, he vetoes the trade himself with no input from the rest of the league. Okay. Not that there should be any, but their vetoes should not even exist, in my opinion. He vetoes the trade. Now, further, I'm in 3rd place. He's in 1st place. The commissioner's in 1st place. I'm in 3rd place. So now,
no explanation given, by the way.
Yeah, well, the explanation was it was not in his mind a fair trade. It was not close enough to meet his standards. So now I got to decide.
You explain why, like minutes played.
No, nothing. No, it's just not that bad. You just said it was such a bad trade he had to veto it.
So you're getting what are you getting? You're getting triples. What do you need that you're taking Booker for?
I've got a lot of big men. So I've got rebounds, I've got blocks, et cetera, et cetera. I want all the position flexibility you get from Booker. I want the assists, I want the steals, I want the threes.
The other obviously he did not do this under duress.
No, I was offered this trade.
Booker for Nas.
Yes.
And you accepted it.
I accepted the trade. Commissioner vetoed it. So now the decision I have to make is, do I just quit? Right now, mid-season, stop setting a lineup, just walk away out of protest. Now, if I do that...
It's predetermined in the league that there is veto power?
I guess. I don't know. This is this is a guy who just sort of runs it's his league and he's running it his way.
But
that's his attitude.
Common sense would dictate that unless, this, for me, to be honest, if you're in my league, I'm not throwing a fit because it would take me 2 minutes to look at your roster and be like, wow, he has 5 centers. Like, that's not good for anybody. This other guy needs a center. And maybe he's paying a little bit more in scoring. He's paying a bit more in triples and things like that. More dimes probably on average. But he needs it. Both parties are okay with it. I would stay out of the way.
Do I quit now or do I go to the end of the season and then quit?
Well,
now,
I definitely...
This is also, the commissioner is a longtime friend.
Yeah.
And it'll be a friendship ruiner. In either case, it'll probably be a friendship ruiner.
Well, how do you lose? You can't lose a friendship over a fantasy sports league. That's ridiculous. I don't know how you I'd tell this person to bleep off and maybe we don't hang out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not
pretty bitter about it though.
Well,
I don't know.
But it's a fantasy sports league. Just don't be in his league again. I would say this. I'm a principal guy in a lot of respects like you are. I might just leave the league, but I'm still going. Ultimately, I'm going to come back to the friendship. Don't you think?
I don't know. I think if you leave a fantasy league high and dry in the middle of the season, that's kind of going nuclear on the whole thing, right?
Well, it absolutely is.
Yeah,
but maybe that's the point that needs to be made.
I feel like that's the only way he's going to understand the magnitude of what he did.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. When the dog poops in the basement, rub his nose in it a little bit.
Send a message.
Yeah, I think the message will be sent. Just leave the league, but then in the springtime, after the league ends, maybe cooler heads will prevail. Don't close the door on a friendship.
Fine.
You've been friends for years.
Fine.
But then here's the other thing. So how many people in 12-man league?
14.
14. Okay. So we have 3 parties out of 14 that are entrenched in this. Don't potentially... The other idea is maybe you stay for the rest of the season because if you just leave the league, are they going to set your lineup for you? Now, now you're giving first-place commissioner guy more power potentially over the other people in the league.
He's already got all the power.
I understand that, but
he just undid my trade.
But then first-place commissioner guy is going to be setting your lineup to try and quote-unquote keep things competitive.
Hey, not my lineup anymore at that point.
So if I'm one of the other 10... And actually, let's include guy that offered you Booker for Nas. Now we're just passengers to the commissioner's decision making. So now you got to think about, okay, you want to prove a point, you want to send a message, but I don't want to potentially screw over the other guys in the league. Can there be a group mutiny? How much money is invested? Is this like one of your Empire?
No, there's like $100 entry fee, right? Okay. So, the winner's going to get, like $800 or $1,000 or something.
Well, let's get some supporters.
I don't want to rally. I don't think I want to rally the rest of the league against the commissioner. I don't think I want to do it.
But you're on the verge and you're talking about on the radio of ending a friendship.
I know.
Why don't you how about the league just ends now and everybody gets their money back?
That would work.
And then we start fresh.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, well, yeah. I'm offering
with no
ideas.
vetoes.
But don't end the friendship over this. A message does need to be sent. So I'm advocating for you quitting the league. I'm probably leaning towards you quitting the league after the league ends because I'm thinking about the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Like I get
that
mad.
would be the mature thing to do.
Like right now, I happen to be in first place. PA is about to just crush me. Now this is fantasy radio, 9 a.m. on a Friday. Welcome to the feast. It's Charch in for PA. PA's on an exotic island somewhere. But if somebody doesn't set their lineup,
yeah,
that potentially impacts me.
It does.
Yeah. So if you end up being that guy that people are trouncing because you quit the league, I would be exceptionally mad about that. So now you're creating.
Then I become the bad guy.
Despite being right, this is where you got to stand tall, because I think you're right. Are you willing to create those other enemies to prove the point to the one guy? I think this is still like biting off nose territory or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't, throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm searching for cliches here. I think you just need to take a breath, quit at the end of the season, but bring it up as often as possible.
Hit the message board every day.
Rip him mercilessly for it. Anytime that you are short on triples, anytime you're short on scoring, just make sure to remind the league how awful the commissioner is and make the experience for him hurt a little bit down the stretch. So he can be first place.
He's going to win.
He can take your $100.
That's the important thing for him.
But then you are absolutely done with the league, and you'll let everybody know and make sure everyone reminds themselves of why you are done with the league. Bring people to your side.
It takes a lot to get fantasy football to end friendships, but it happens, and it's always vetoing trades every time.
I understand.
It's on vetoed trades.
And this is coming from a guy that produces a show that specializes in seeing sports through the eyes of a child. Okay, I will admit I'm very emotionally immature, but I can't end a friendship over a fantasy league. I'd tell that guy to bleep off, and then we'd have a beer after the season. I think you'll get over it. I think you're going to get over this, but stand on principle while you can. That's what I would say to that.
Coming up later in this show, Chad Greenway joins. I believe, I've reason to believe that he will make it, that he'll be in studio.
Yeah,
I think that'll happen.
He's on his way.
Alec Lewis in the 11 o'clock hour, 10 o'clock hour, something we don't really ever do here, a segment on men's sexual health with Jeff Bennett. What could that mean? We'll learn a little bit more about that in the 10 o'clock hour. Has Vegas finally reached the tipping point? You may have seen.
Have they gone too far?
Have they finally gone too far? You may have seen that Super Bowl Sunday hotel rooms on the Strip were going for $20. Which is staggering. I mean,
yes,
this is like it's supposed to be one of the busiest weekends in Las Vegas. Have they finally gone too far? I know the frequency with which I go has changed a lot. We'll talk through some of the many changes that have kind of turned anti-consumer. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. We'll talk through Vikings free agents. And I do want to get back, if we get time, I also want to talk to you, Nordo, about what do fans get to do in terms of booing? And, what do you get to do as a fan? Well, we'll ask Chad that when we get into how much do you, how he's been part of your own getting booed by your own team.
Yeah,
that has happened. Had to have happened at least once. We'll get into that a little bit as well.
Nobody's ever booed Greenway.
Not Chad in particular. No,
not him specifically.
The defense as a unit, probably. But yeah, fans have some rights here. And with what's happened in Houston, I think it's a fascinating discussion point about what you get to do to show displeasure versus what will get you thrown out of the arena.
Yes.
And rightfully so. Because it's not a clear line at all. It's pretty murky. And I think Houston overstepped their bounds by a fair margin. When we come back, we'll ask Chad Greenway about that also. The Super Bowl MVP should have gone to a defensive player, but didn't. Is Chad a little salty about that? Let's find out in a moment.
The Fan wants to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword PAY, P-A-Y, simple word. And you might win $1,000 simply by entering said keyword. The keyword is pay at KFAN.com.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Friday Football Feast. PA is out today. Paul Charching with you. Chad Greenway joins.
I made it.
Grey Duck Spirits, number 52. I want to start with this subject we got into before the break. So fans are obviously displeased in Houston with the Luka trade, which totally makes sense. Security ejects a guy who was leading a Fire Luka chant. And security shows up. They start hauling the guy out. Whole arena starts bombarding boos down on security because they're all on his side. Now, Mark Cuban later tweeted. Now, if you don't know, Cuban sold majority interest of the team to the Adelman family.
Yes.
But he is still a supporter and he's still a shareholder. He said the boos were for the guy, but they weren't. The boos were all for the security guys who took out this guy who was doing the Fire Nico chant. So give me the player's perspective. What rights do fans have to show displeasure with their own team? I mean, security would not have come if it was a chant against the other team, right? But it's a chant against your own team, and then security shows up.
I would argue it differently is what rights do players have to say what a fan can or can't say?
Oh, I like that.
I mean, you think about it, it's like at the end of the day, like, yes, you can choose to be a fan of that team, but say, hey, I've been a fan for 25 years. I've been a season ticket holder for 25 years. There's a lot of Vikings season ticket holders that they're now listening to the radio saying, yes, I'm one of those. And all of a sudden, you've invested time, effort, energy, money into this team as a choice. It's entertainment. And all of a sudden, you have somebody that comes in that was hired by the organization that you are not loving the decision making. You get the decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to boo that man, that woman. I am going to chant certain things in games. And if it catches on, it means it's probably partially or mostly true that the fan base is unhappy. So I think, I mean, in that case, what appears to be is the fans were rallying for the fan to have an opinion and booing the security guard.
Yes.
And by the way, this is one of the biggest trades in the history of the NBA.
It's their Herschel Walker trade.
And so I think it's okay for that person to have an opinion.
Now, all right, I'll take it one step further. And I'll make it personal for you. Somebody's got an axe to grind with you personally, right?
With outside of my house?
Right, exactly. Oddly enough, it's not your wife.
Okay, wow.
Okay.
Isn't it weird getting booed when you come in the front door?
Yeah, it's not weird anymore. I mean, it's sort of just
you're kind of used to it now.
Must be a Friday.
Yeah. So, real or perceived, somebody's got an issue with you.
Yeah.
And they are standing up every time, let's say the defense is on the field, you're on the field. Somebody is standing up and booing you by name every time you're on the field, whole game long. Have they crossed a line there? And think of the other fans around. I'm sitting next to that person, right?
I think that usually would take care of itself.
Yes.
Within the circle of the people that are sitting by this said person. In the NFL game, it's a lot different when 70,000 people. And
right. That's true.
I can't hear you anyways. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure
you can't hear any distinct person.
I made a bunch of negative plays that you were mad about, and you probably had a good reason. So it's probably... I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time.
I'm looking forward to the next time.
That's just how it works. But now you're talking about an NBA. It gets quiet sometimes. You're a small stadium. You sit in front court or right by the court side. I think that takes care of itself. Boo that man. Sit him down. We're tired of hearing you yell about, Cat needs to get back on defense.
You did not live here back then, but we had a version of this in the Twin Cities for quite a while. When Norm Green sold the North Stars.
Oh, awful.
And they were playing out a lame duck season when we knew they were headed to Dallas. We were all chanting, Norm Green sucks.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. Norm Green sucks. Over and over again. It got us nowhere, but it felt good. I mean, it didn't really change anything. There's some point at which they can't throw out the whole stadium. Right? I mean, if the whole stadium is chanting "Fire Nico,"
well, you want to talk about just a soft reaction of just being defensive to say, "Go throw out that guy who's chanting against our GM." Like, okay, well, clearly you are really sensitive, and you probably shouldn't be in that position because it's not easy being a GM in the professional sports league, and you're going to make some decisions that are going to probably not make everybody happy. So you should probably get a new job.
If you can't take that.
You know what? Maybe after that trade, you might be getting a new job next year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that could be too.
Well, I think that's coming from the top of ownership, and there's a whole long list of why that thing happened. based off of Vegas casinos and all sorts of other fun intel that we've all kind of seen on social media, which is interesting. There's got to be another player here.
The Edelman family comes from Las Vegas. They own the Las Vegas Sands, and they made all their money in Las Vegas, or most of their money.
Trying to make some money with those $20 hotels. Now you can't make any other money.
I know, right? There are a lot of people that think that this is step one in moving the Mavs out of did I say Houston?
No.
Yeah, Dallas. Sorry.
Yeah.
Houston, Dallas. Out of Dallas to Las Vegas. And that might be the case. It could be the case. Now, Dallas is obviously a huge market, right?
Yes.
So,
huge market is going to have an NBA team, a franchise, whether they leave or not. They're going to get granted one, or somebody's going to move there because it is such a good market. But you should never rip, a la the North Stars, you should never rip a historically good franchise from a town that they are beloved into some other city. Just go to the NBA and say, hey, I want my own franchise here. This has worked in Vegas. Let's go make it work again. Don't do it that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just go buy a new one.
Don't be Norm Green.
Right.
And we should, let's be honest, we should be the North Stars.
We should still be the North Stars.
There's no question about it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So let's catch up on some of the things here. First, the Eagles, you're a defensive player. Eagles defense was the star of the show until the touchdowns at the end of the game, the garbage time touchdowns that really don't count. Yeah. This thing was a 40-6 game with like 3 minutes left. I mean, the Eagles defense won the Super Bowl in totality was more important than the offense. There was not a one defensive player that you can necessarily point to that was like, well...
And that's why Jalen Hurts was the MVP.
I think so, too.
Yeah, it's always going to be default quarterback unless something dramatic happens. Yeah. If Cooper DeJean has another pick...
Another touchdown would have done it.
Maybe a couple of sacks, rushing off the edge, does something else, he's the guy, right? With the pick six, you get maybe another pick six or you get another pick. That's going to happen. It's happened, I think, with the Tampa Bay Super Bowl with a DB, getting a couple pick sixes, you get the MVP. So... at the end of the day, I'm okay with it. I'm just okay with. I don't really care who wins the MVP. At the end of the day, the defense won that Super Bowl, and I think I'm pretty sure everybody's content in that locker room that it worked out the way it did. If Cooper DeJean goes and makes another crazy play, then he's probably going to be the MVP. The reality is we talked about this a lot last week, is the front four of the Eagles is an absolute problem.
It is.
And you want to make your coverage really, really good, get a front four that has, Jared Allen, Kevin Williams, and others, that makes your coverage really, really good. And that's what the Eagles have done. And the Chiefs it was almost comical at their inability to block. I could not believe it. A Super Bowl team that, essentially was, we know they won a bunch of close games, but the reality is they won those games in the NFL in a really good AFC, and you come and you absolutely cannot block a soul in the Super Bowl. It was wild.
Do you feel that we were, I don't want to say, distracted maybe is the right word, because I think really now that you can look back at it, from point A to point Z, the Eagles had the most talented roster in the NFL. But throughout the season, it is the flashiness of the Lions. We were kind of overtaken by, when we're focused, is this going to finally be the year that a Lamar Jackson makes a deep run? Or in this, you're looking at the Bills. They're never going to be better built to beat the Chiefs than they were this year, given the Chiefs' issues offensively and health-wise. But the Eagles, they're having like locker room issues. Brandon Graham's going on podcasts. A.J. Brown's pissed at everybody. And Sirianni just kind of has some sniveling dweeb to him. And so you just kind of, it's hard for me to think about this like as a Vikings fan, but I think in some ways I kind of forgot about the Eagles until we were leading up to the Super Bowl. And it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of the most talented roster in the NFL with their offensive and defensive fronts. That has to be the right answer on Super Bowl Sunday. Is it possible that we just kind of forgot about maybe the most talented team in the NFL leading into this game?
Yeah, but I think you laid it out with the way the Lions are playing, what the Vikings had going on, that kind of battle back and forth. There's a lot of controversy in that locker room early on. Then Sirianni shaves his head or whatever he does, and all of a sudden they win every game after that. And then I think what you also look to is there's other markets that were just getting more attention, and the entire time all you have to worry about is getting into the tournament at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And the Eagles got hot and were hot at the exact right time. And when you get a pass rush, it's almost like, getting that guy that gets hot at the right time with a bat in the playoffs for baseball or a hot shooter in basketball. It's like the defensive front just had it going on. And they had a number of guys that could get to the quarterback. And that rush and cover combination was incredible. And that was the difference. And then the physicality of the offensive line and the running game, and that awareness to know that you have to also take care of Jalen Hurts because he can run and throw. I mean, just so multiple, so versatile, so hard to stop. And it was there right in front of us the whole year. And we kind of just, I guess, took it for granted. All of a sudden, boom, Super Bowl champs. Way to go.
So back to the MVP bit, by the way. Now, as a defender, maybe you're not offended that Jalen Hurts got the MVP. However, the MVP both of the NFL and of the Super Bowl has effectively become a quarterback award.
Yes.
Where the last time a defensive player was Von Miller when the Broncos beat the Carolina Panthers the
Killed them.
2015 season. Well, that was kind of a defensive battle in Super Bowl 50. I mean, they dominated for the most part, but low scoring. But then Malcolm Smith in the 2013 season Super Bowl, so there's that. But then otherwise, it was 4 quarterbacks prior. It was 6 of the last 9, 7 of the last 9 after Von Miller. It's a quarterback award. There's got to be some frustration as a defensive guy when you see that. You know, most important player in sports. I think that's kind of built into the award process too.
It's almost like it should be changed, right, to something else, because it's almost comical at this point. It's like a little bit like the Heisman. They become the exact same type of situation and scenario. It's like, okay, you can have a historically good rushing season, like maybe the top 3 of all time, Saquon, and you don't win the MVP. And those quarterbacks both had really good seasons, incredibly good seasons. Were they historically good seasons? You could answer this better than me, Charch. I don't know that they were. They were very, very good. Were they not historically. Were they as historically good as Saquon? Without looking?
No, because Saquon put up the 3rd most yards in the history of the league.
To me, what else can you do? What else does that? Right. What else does that guy do other than you have to go break the sack record to go be the NFL MVP? Even then, you'd probably just be the defensive MVP.
Probably yes.
So it's a little comical to me. Same thing with the Heisman. You have Ashton Gianti or whatever from Boise, like doing historically good things that have never been done before, and you don't win it. It just seems silly.
Were you pretty happy with Cooper DeJean?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like he's as a Hawkeye, like that's the kids they recruit out of small town Iowa, and he can play. The guy,
dude's a baller.
The kid can just play.
He can.
At the end of the day, that's all it comes down to, and it's just something we have not seen much of, to be honest. Obviously, in that position, and he's been. I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks back when they moved him to the slot corner. Their defense has completely changed ever since that moment.
Yep.
And he's just been that guy. So credit to him. Yeah, he's a stud.
How gung-ho Iowa are you at this stage in life? Like, you got kids
He's
athletic.
wearing a sweatshirt now that says Iowa on it.
I understand that, but I can appreciate a hoodie rotation where Hawkeyes are going to make the game. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, like, you got kids athletic, so it's like now I'm going to be rooting eventually for a kid in college.
Yep.
And, I'm following Minnesota teams at a high level. I have the professional connection to the purple, but then I still like trying to stay locked in on everything that's happening in Iowa City. I just think that can be difficult.
Well, I think when you're at your alma mater, you are always going to cheer for them. I'm always going to be a Hawkeye regardless of what my kids go out and do. Oh, by the way, I can also go back my children and with whatever they're going to do.
You're going to be a Kentucky fan soon.
Yes. I mean, we're already watching a lot of Kentucky basketball. Yeah. That's where she's going to go play, and you want to go watch. So, and then who knows what the other kids do. So it's one of those situations where, like, my wife and I are both graduates. We're both athletes there. Like, we're never going to not be fans of Iowa. So I am always tuned into that, always. But at the same time, like, run a business, give back to the Gopher athletics up here at high, as much as we can. So, like, you got to be tuned into all these things. And obviously, I'm a big believer in giving back to where you live and the people who support you. So that's why I do try to tune into and support the Gophers as much as I can, especially on the business side, because of the people that are buying our Great Elk Spirits products at the end of the day. So that's why the give back matters. I'm not going to write.
It does matter.
I'm not going to write that check to University of Iowa because that probably would make a whole lot of sense to people up here that are drinking Great Elk Spirits.
Well, right. So, I would as a Minnesota consumer of Grey Duck products, I'd prefer that the spiff goes back to my alma mater, University of Minnesota.
Yes, and it's going exactly where it should be because that's the majority of folks who are drinking our products are going to go back to the NIL and the collective and help support those athletics. Now I'm directly going against my Hawkeyes, but it is what it is.
Were you doing any what I was doing during the watching Cooper DeJean at various times this year and in the Super Bowl going, the Vikings could have just held their pick in the first round and just drafted Cooper DeJean. If Cooper DeJean, based on what we know now, Cooper DeJean would not get out of the top 10.
It's so
picks.
easy to say that, though.
It is. It's so. I know. You can do it every year.
How dare you?
You can do it every year.
You know this.
I know.
I just think at the end of the day, look where he was picked, undervalued tremendously.
Second round.
But at the same time, like you understand the why. It's the same reason when I came out of Iowa back in 2006, I can remember a very enlightening interview in the NFL Combine with the New Orleans Saints and their linebacker coach, who coached there for a long, long time. He was part of the cheating thing in 2009, the whole bit. Not, in my opinion, he was a very not nice person.
Okay.
Unnice, what do you want to call him? He was mean. And I have this Combine interview, and he's shredding me for being a Hawkeye linebacker. Why would we ever take you? Name all the Hawkeye linebackers that are currently active that have ever done anything in the NFL, blah, 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 blah. So at some point, like that narrative had to shift to like, okay, you're the first one that's come out in a while that we could actually be a draftable linebacker from Iowa. Why would we ever pick you when there's no history of you guys producing linebackers? And I'm like, you can pick whoever you want. I don't know what to tell you. And I think it's the same in the same sense with Cooper DeJean is we don't trust that you're going to be good based off the history of what we know about in the NFL in that position. And I think that's fair to say. How many quarterbacks have come from University of Iowa over the course of the last 50 years?
I don't know. You tell me.
Not many.
Okay.
And more so lately because what Phil Parker's done with that defense over the years. So I think it's a little bit of that too. Is like just is he really going to be able to come do this in the NFL like he did in college?
Do you think his skin color played a factor?
I'm not going to go that far, but I just think the way we play at Iowa, how much zone we play compared to man. I think that played a bigger role in it than anything. But I mean, you make the call.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that.
I don't either.
I remember there were people when Andy Dalton came into the league. There were people who were seriously saying redheads can't be quarterbacks because there's never been any good redhead quarterbacks. And Andy Dalton's still in the league like 14 years later.
Somebody eventually is going to break the mold, right? And Cooper DeJean and maybe that person.
Riley Moss.
Riley Moss is in Denver.
Right.
Yep.
Same thing. Both starters.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Cooper DeJean's 21 years old.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, but have you seen his basketball highlights? Go on Instagram, everybody, and watch his basketball highlights. They are nuts. And then I saw a track and field post from his results in the Iowa State track meet. I was like, this kid is a certified freak. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are dumb.
Yeah, amazing. Aaron Rodgers may have played his last NFL game.
So is he coming to purple or what?
Well, we'll talk about that when we come back. Chad Greenway, Grey Duck Spirits. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, some of your memories with him. Should he become a Viking? Blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers when we come back.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa Welcome Bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games, all for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Feast, Paul Charchi and Eric Nordquist and Chad Greenway, 52 in the house. One last thing. We were talking about women's athletics and women's hoops a moment ago. Did you see this USC player, Juju Watkins?
Yes.
Last night? What she put up like the box score?
30 something, yeah. Had like almost 10 blocks, something crazy. Yeah, we watched the game last night. It was a late
38 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 blocks.
Yeah, she's an incredible player, incredible athlete. But last night, it's funny watching her play. She literally plays with zero emotion. Like it's just like her face is just stoic. But at the end, you could tell like she's always it's cooped up, it's inside because at the end, then when they get the game sort of secure over number 1 UCLA, she sort of explodes. But man, there was possessions where she had like 3 blocks in one possession. UCLA's got this 6'7" post that's stud, and it was a great game. Fun to watch. We had everybody was up watching it last night.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was good.
And that's one of the advantages of you've got 4 girls. I think they all play basketball.
Yes,
You get to bond on some of these things.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, we're just watching Big Ten basketball, at midnight on the West Coast. It's totally normal.
I love it. That box score I just read to you, no player had hit those marks in 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder who it was before then.
It didn't say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's unbelievable. She's one of the top players obviously in the world, in the country for sure, in college basketball, and probably going to be player of the year if things keep going that way.
Aaron Rodgers was cut by the Jets. They're going to eat $49 million in cap hit just to get him out of the building.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Ignominious end for Aaron Rodgers for sure.
One thing he did, one thing I did that he couldn't do was go through his NFL career without getting cut. So there you go.
Yeah.
You take your Hall of Fame
twice
and your Super Bowl.
Yeah. Or did he get traded?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
At the end of the day, they are in a position where they have a new football coach coming in. They want to start new and fresh.
Yeah.
And they want to go, I haven't looked into this that far. Are they going to go draft? Are there free agencies they're going after? Like, do they have spending dollars? I'm very curious on all those things with the Jets because let's be honest, Sam Darnold's out there. They can start this thing all the way back over with Sam.
I got to believe Sam won't do it.
Second phase to start again.
They'd have to offer so much more money, right, to get Sam Darnold to go back to the Jets.
Just depends on what markets are available for Sam, right? To see where he's going to end up going.
There's probably a pretty healthy... There's probably a pretty healthy market out there for him because, teams always need quarterbacks, and you're not always in a position to pick one up in the draft. And especially this year when there just isn't quarterback depth in this draft. So if I look at where Donald could go, Vegas, I think they pick like 7 or 8, so they're outside of the range. They need a quarterback. Pittsburgh has reportedly told Russell Wilson he's not coming back, and Justin Fields is a free agent. New Orleans might be ready to move. New coach there. They might be ready to move on from Derek Carr. And then the Jets. That's about it for Sam Darnold. But that's still a lot. It's still like, there's 4 viable landing spots.
I think if you are in Sam's position and you get let's say you get 2 options of those or 3 options of those, and financially they're somewhat square, do you make a decision? I know what I would do. Do you make a decision based off of every dollar you can get out of it, or do you make a decision based off what coach I'm going to be playing for and what system?
Right? Yeah.
Because
surrounding talent.
At the end of the day, you're going to make a lot of money regardless of where you go. It's more about, can I get into a system like a KOC system with that type of a coach who's going to understand to help kind of lead me through this to, make sure it's not a 1-year flash in the pan good. I need to be good again. And if he can be good again wherever he goes, you look at that Pittsburgh situation and obviously stability with the head coach. Defensively, they're always pretty good. Pretty talented roster. Seems like they could be ready to win. They always are right there. May not be a bad option. It's not the Jets. Also,
what do you remember most about Aaron Rodgers? Because you played with him, you played against him in his heyday.
Yeah, I think the thing I remember the most about playing against Rodgers was I always viewed him as the most talented quarterback I played against. And I had a chance to play. Obviously, Brady is the greatest winner. Peyton is a communication line of scrimmage and things he did in end of game situation, which was incredible. To play with and against Brett. Yeah. To watch him operate. The efficiency at which Aaron Rodgers played with and the accuracy at which he could throw the ball was, especially when he was really in his prime, is just incredible. Like it's, the windows he would hit, the timing he would hit. He made a couple throws to Jordy Nelson. They were just like, you look back on film and you're just like, how does that happen with the timing and the consistency at which he did it? So I think you look back at his career, obviously he's one of the most talented guys to ever play that position. Certainly one of these guys that's, you love him or sort of hate him. There's kind of nobody in the middle, I don't think, on him.
It doesn't seem like it, does it?
And I think every Viking fan is like, Jets, Vikes.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this one before. It worked out pretty good.
Nobody wants it here. Nobody wants it here.
That's for sure not true.
Nobody wants Aaron Rodgers here.
I bet there are some.
I don't think so.
It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But again, you look at the situation we're set up with JJ and a young quarterback on his first deal with some cash to spend. Kwesi's got had a great free agency bid last year. Can he go get it again? And rely on that because the draft picks are a little light at the top of this draft for us. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out for sure. And I think if I had it my way, you'd love to have him go with the young guy, JJ, give him a shot.
They will.
Maybe with a good backup plan with Daniel Jones or somebody else there, and give it a go.
Rodgers went 11 straight years not throwing more than 8 interceptions in the season.
It's incredible. I mean, just
staggering.
You think about the tip balls, just bad things happen.
Stuff that he had no fault in.
Balls, slips, drops by receivers. Like they get credit to all those interceptions. I mean, it just shows you how impressive he is.
And his ability to extend plays was really good too.
Yeah, and both things can be true. He can be really, really good, and you cannot like him.
Yeah,
and,
that's fine.
In the case, that's kind of how this is.
I think it was that way for a lot of people, for sure.
For me personally, playing against him and competing, and had a chance to go to a couple of Pro Bowls with him. To me, he was always very professional, always very good, always very nice, always treating my kids well, like all those things. I always kind of view people more in that way. Yeah. Same thing with Jay Cutler. He was one of the most unlikable characters probably in the NFL. But
did you go to a Pro Bowl with Jay Cutler?
Yeah, and I've known Jay since before then, like pre-draft visit stuff. So,
really?
Senior Bowl, spent some time with Jay. Jay's a great dude.
Is he?
He was a great dude to me.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not regularly hanging with Jay.
Right.
But,
right.
It's one of those things where like how he really is and the perception of how he is and how he sort of handled the PR and always looking mopey, or disgruntled. He was good at that one.
All right. Got one more for you. Now that Jared Allen's in the Hall of Fame, and we spent with after he got in, we were here 2 Fridays ago.
Is this a Kevin Williams pitch?
Who's the next most deserving Viking to get in? Who's next on your list?
Well, I mean, do you want to go like modern era?
Any Viking who's not in that you think should be the next Viking in.
I haven't looked at this like that closely.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean, Chuck Foreman, Kevin Williams. I think Kevin Williams, I mean, obviously to play with him. And then I didn't really look. Somebody's making this argument online, and I didn't realize when you're playing with the guy, I don't keep up with how many Pro Bowls and all pros. And you just play with the guy, and he's one of the greatest humans on the planet as well, by the way. Had a knack for scoring touchdowns. I mean, he was a playmaker and an incredible athlete for a 3 technique.
Yeah, he could dunk.
And, you can see now he's raising his kids out in Arkansas. I can see that the next generation of Williams is just a bunch of freaks. He was a great basketball player.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's Kevin, but because I played with him, I see what he did. And so before, modern era, certainly it's Kevin, my opinion.
Yeah. I think he's the next one up. I don't know if it'll happen. I hope it will. Just 3 technique is not, it's not splashy. You don't get all the big sacks and everything else. It's a harder one, a little bit like guard. You got to be awesome to get recognized. And Kevin Williams was close.
I think when you look at, I saw him compared to Richard Seymour, the Patriots.
Yeah.
Who's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Kevin was better than him in every statistical category.
I bet.
And it wasn't actually that close.
I bet.
And
if he had this same career in New York or LA, it'd be a different story.
Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
I think
and
Super Bowl
Bowls,
championships.
Yeah,
I think when you're in a nondescript position, which is a little bit why you look at how Hutch got in, you're like, okay, kind of not surprised by his ability or the fact he's in the Hall of Fame. He deserves it. It's just that didn't win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those guards that go in, those high-level guards, because they were on really, really good football teams or had a lot of 1,000-yard rushers, which Steve obviously did, blocking for Adrian. And so I think it's one of those deals with Kevin. He's also not a self-promoter. He's not Jared with a personality. He's quiet, kind of nondescript. So like when you are sort of on that bubble, I don't think that helps you.
Yeah, I think you're right. He was not a self-aggrandizer either. No. He's not out campaigning for himself.
He roped 0 calves after a sack.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. Zero roped calves.
Yes.
What's going on with Great Up?
Well, you can come join maybe me and maybe you at Charlie's on Pryor next week, the 25th. Go to Charlie's on Pryor /events to come join us and get a bottle of Old Red to take home and have a great night at Charlie's and enjoy it. So it should be fun. Good food, good friends.
Yeah. Dinner, drinks, cocktails.
Yeah. Rub some elbows. It'll be fun. So looking forward to it. So go look for that on our social media, Great Up Spirits, on all social media handles, and you can sign up to enter.
By then, I will know which bottle will have won Whiskey Weekend.
Yes.
And my intention is to go. It's next weekend.
Got it.
My intention is to bring that winning bottle with me to that event as well.
Love it.
And try that too. All right, my man. Thank you for coming in.
You bet.
Appreciate
Thanks
it. Great talking to you. Coming up next, men's sexual health. What are we talking about? What are we doing here? This is an interesting story about a Minnesota company called Moriari that has a device for men's sexual health that just cleared the FDA this week. So an opportunity to learn a little bit more about that with Jeff Bennett when we come back to the Fan.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Ready to upgrade your entertainment experience? Vizio TVs make streaming easy with convenient access to all your favorite apps. Enjoy top hits from the iHeartRadio app or watch over 300 free live channels of news, sports, and more on Watch Free Plus. And now, take free TV and movies on the go with Watch Free Plus in the Vizio mobile app. Available anytime, anywhere, for everyone. Download the Vizio mobile app now or visit vizio.com/iHeartRadio to learn more.
Roku has what you need to make your college home away from home feel more like your own. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TV, or bring a Roku streaming stick to easily access all your favorite free and premium content like iHeartRadio. Stream your favorite playlist with the Roku Vibe Setting Smart Light strips to sync your music to millions of colors and make your dorm feel more like you. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TVs, streaming players, and smart lights. Head to Roku.com or your favorite retailer to deck out your dorm.